Good. Good. So I think we are good to kick off our conversations today. We're happy to be back again. I mean, we since May 1st, we've never. I hope you can hear me, all of you.
Yes, Ronald, you can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Good, thank you. It's good to get some feedback because sometimes you can assume you're just speaking to yourself on the laptop. This pandemic has really messed up things. But I was just saying, we are happy to be back again since our first May discussion where we're exploring opportunities in the UK. Today, we kind of take a different turn in that we are not going to hopefully be focused in Europe and mostly be focused in UK because that has been like the low hanging fruit for most people, especially the nurses. And today, the discussion actually goes beyond nurses. Like we're exploring opportunities kind of for all people who are willing to migrate to Canada. So you should feel welcomed. I think we are honored to kind of host you again here. And of course, as we've always said, the main aim of Village International is to be able to, enable as many people as possible to access information, especially information related to opportunities. So we spot opportunities and we share it with the rest of the people or the rest of the world, or with the rest of Kenyans or with the rest of Africans. That's kind of our main business. And we've been doing this for quite some time. And so today is kind of a very unique discussion because in many cases, it's very rare for a firm or an agency to just have these discussions. Let's discuss Canada, let's discuss US, let's discuss UK. Just kind of bare knuckles discussions. It rarely happens. So I can't say we are the first, but we are probably among the pioneers in discussing the Canada process. And probably we couldn't hear it from any better person than the person who's going to address us today. She's a director at Village International. She's been in Canada for kind of so many years now. Going through it all. Like she has gone through the whole process herself. So when she tells you do this, definitely that is kind of the right approach of doing it. So welcome. Probably just take a minute or two as we kickstart our conversations. As also, I'll be coming back in a minute or two to start, having discussions or introducing Emma to the rest of the team. So you can just unmute yourself and take your glass of water, breathe in, breathe out, just to get ready to start sipping this information that will be coming in. So thank you. And we, as I've said, we are happy to host you here today. Being the 27th, different times. For example, if you're in Kenya now, it should be 6 p.m. If you're in Europe now, it should be 4 p.m. And if you happen to be in Canada, I don't know, Emma will guide us. Maybe you have a 6-hour difference. It's kind of very, it's a morning for people who are based in Canada. So time difference is one of the things. For example, if you're considering moving to Canada, it's one of the things you'll probably be amazed with. So thank you and Karibu, welcome.
Hello. One thing I want to know is about whether while you are in Kenya, you can come to Canada and study technical courses. Technical courses are those courses such as heavy equipment operator, plumbing, mechanical, those kind of short courses. Can you come to Canada and study them?
Oh,
is it easy to come to Canada and study those courses there?
I don't want
Well,
to preempt. I don't want to preempt the discussion, but of course, all the questions will be answered today. And alternatively, say yes, but until we hear from the horse's mouth. So
okay.
probably just hold on for a few minutes. I'll be inviting our speaker, who is also our director,
Okay.
to start off the conversations. But thanks for, of course, for being very anxious to ask questions.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Okay, karibu.
Yes.
Good. So I'll start with probably just a brief introduction of who we are. I'm sure you're wondering who this guy is. So my name is Ronald Ekesa Wafula. I happen to be a director at Village International Limited, the one you're seeing on the screen. We work with a very, very able team. I'll say very able because it's a team that is reflective of our name. So our name is international, and that's probably how our team is. So we have, we have a team based in the UK, we have a team based in Ireland, we have a team based in Canada. We've also a team based in Kenya, and I think my colleague will be sharing a PowerPoint or a slide showing all the details of the different people, different colleagues we have at Village International Limited. So just in a nutshell, Village International Limited, as I said before, we kind of get the opportunities and share them with you. But to be specific, we've been assisting, kind of not assisting really, but we have been partnering with nurses in Kenya to be able to facilitate their journeys abroad. So I was just saying, we've been mainly working with nurses. So far, we've facilitated so many nurses to migrate to UK and start practicing their nursing profession there. Others in Ireland, others in the US. But of course, our main problem in Kenya and many other parts of Africa, for example, is unemployment that cuts across. So you're not saying unemployment is only for the nurses. Unemployment is for the teachers, is for business and finance people. It's for everyone, because with the national average rate of unemployment being so high, that means it cuts across. And we were thinking as a team, what would be the best way possible for us to be able to assist many of our colleagues, many of our friends, many of our classmates, and many of our fellow citizens and fellow Africans. So we decided, fine, let's explore this way, let's explore this route, let's explore Canada. And that's the thing. So I don't want to preempt the discussions on Canada, but we have started this route as a way of enabling people, not necessarily nurses. As you can be able to see, we have 3 pathways to go to Canada. We have go there, for example, as a nurse, go there as a permanent resident, or you can also go there as a student. And as somebody said, there's usually no limit in terms of when you can become a student. So we train people in IELTS. Of course, you have to speak English before you go to these countries. I don't know why it's always a requirement that you have to doing IELTS. So you train people in IELTS. We train people in CBT. For example, if you want to go to the UK and you have to do that exam called CBT. So we train people on that. At the same time, also we rebrand your CV. So sometimes there are this type of people who are still writing very funny things on their CVs, and we, for example, for us, we brand you as a person or as a nurse or as whoever, to be able to get that job. And that's what we've been doing, because some of us have also been gone through the same experiences of lacking work or probably just lacking the right skills to put on your CV. And that's what we do. So we assist people to brand their CVs. We are doing quite a lot of things behind the scenes. We're also doing prometrics trainings for people who want to move to Qatar as nurses. We're also training NCLEX. If you want to go to the US and Canada, of course, Emma will be sharing today, you have to do NCLEX exams. So we are doing all that behind the scenes, we are using a very unique model of just saying, fine, you can, if you have your phone, you have your laptop, and you have a piece of pen and a paper, then you can be able to train. And that's what that's the model we are using to train people. And so far, the success rate has been super good. People passing IELTS in Kenya, across Africa. We also have very good delivery of CBT, very good delivery of Prometrics for Gatar, and also very good delivery for NCLEX. And the whole discussion today is now not going to be on CBT or whatever, but it's going to mostly focus on why Canada. And I thank also the person who raised the first question on Canada. So probably I would love to get into who belongs to Relay. Jakaid, if you're there, you can share the PowerPoint. Okay, then we can just move on. Jakaito, you'll be ready. Let me know. We can just move on. So I'll invite Emma to kickstart. So probably let me introduce Emma before she comes. So Emma is, I don't know how to describe her with small words, because she's probably a senior person, because migrated from Kenya, is very senior in some organization. Then she's now working in Canada as a nurses trainer. Doing a lot of work there, but she's very senior management positions there. I don't want to mention the colleges and the institutes she's associated with, but she has the experience in Canada. She has been there. She has studied there herself. She's now working there. She kind of understands the process of getting there. So we're not saying that we know everything, but the much we know, we are ready to share, because there are people who know everything and they don't share. But for us, we are sharing the much we know. And of course, at the end of the day, you'll also be doing cost comparisons and you'll be like, okay, these guys are good, hopefully. So I'll take this opportunity to welcome Emma to probably kickstart the discussion. So karibu, Emma, if you're there.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming today, and for Ronald and Relay for giving me this time to have our nurses and also those who are interested in the pathway for Canada to get more information so that they can get some informed opportunity as they make their choices. And I'm seeing we have actually a PowerPoint presentation that has been shared on the team. And so just before I continue, I'll give the opportunity back to Ronald to take us through that, and then I will get started. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma. And you didn't tell us what was the time there in Canada now, probably before I get into introducing the team.
Well, it's already midday where I am. Maybe in some other parts of Canada, it's still morning, but we have the opportunity at least to be ahead of time now that we're in the eastern part of Canada. So yeah.
Is it like 12? 12
yeah,
or 1?
it's noon. It's noon.
Okay, that's nice. Thanks. Because it's good to understand, because in Europe now it should be 4 p.m. Then in Kenya is now 6 p.m. So that's the beauty of time, and hopefully the beauty of traveling, because you kind of get to experience different sides of the world. So as I promised the team here, we have this is the team that is delivering many of the stories I've been speaking about, because I'm a man of many stories, and probably you will say this guy has so many stories. But anyway, so we have a team based in Ireland, team based in the UK, team based in Canada, and a team based in Kenya. But just to kind of take you through it, we have Isaiah Gitonga. You can see that his picture there, very serious gentleman, is currently pursuing his PhD in Ireland. He is doing a PhD in is it psycho-oncology? if I'm right, Kitonga, right? Still a PhD in psychology, but I've also done some very good work in mental health and nursing related stuff. So we can say he's a very good person to be here today with us. So we have also Amolo Omwanto, who, I mean, of course, you know her by brand. So her brand name is Granny. I think on Facebook she's called Amolo Nyarlango. Very interesting person. She's a nurse by training. She's currently a registered nurse in the UK, working. She's a registered nurse in the UK and also working in the UK. So we also have Eunice Kusa, also a nurse working in the UK. She did her undergraduate in the UK, then ended up getting a job in the UK as a nurse. Then we have Evans. I'm sure you can see Evans Makeke Maombo, who happens to be a very interesting person. Went to University of Nairobi. He's currently doing his master's in geospatial information systems at the University of Leeds in the UK. Then we have Kasim Lupao. I'm sure you have interacted with Kasim before. Kasim is the head of IELTS training at Real International Limited, but he's also a director. All these people you're seeing here are all directors of Village. So Kasim Lupao is also finishing up his MBA, his master's in health, nutrition, and dietetics in Kenya. Then, of course, you have Emma, a director, also one of the directors who is presenting today. Webi Bisa, is an accountant by profession, currently managing our money at Real International Limited. Then we have Mark Timona, the CEO of Real International Limited, and we also have Vincent Jakait, who is a director at Real International Limited, chief operations officer, and at the same time, you're also doing a lot of work in nursing and health-related matters in Kenya. I'm sure the people who know me or who at least knew when Relage started, they'll be able to identify Jakait very well, because we've started these Relage conversations very long ago, and he was one of the first people to kind of do the trainings, health-related trainings, as early as 2014. So I think that probably puts the context of the conversation that Relage International Limited is not just we're not just people who are trying to make a living out of this, but we are just people who are out to help people access jobs and opportunities abroad. As you can see, it's a very able team, So I'm sure there are people who will be like, okay, where are you guys based? I think that question has already been answered in the sense that we have a team based in Kenya, but we also have a team spread across the world. And what's the other question? Of course, the other question is, how is your team? So our team is kind of super good. I can challenge you to probably get me a team that is equal to that, and probably we can have a check for that. Anyway, so thanks. I've introduced the Relage team, so I'll take the ball back to Emma, who now will get us into the discussion of the day, which is discussing opportunities in Canada for all, not just nurses. Thank you, and welcome, Emma.
Thank you so much, Ronald. Just as I said, and Ronald has introduced myself, my name is Emma. I'm a registered nurse both in Kenya and in Canada, in a province called Nova Scotia. And I'm one of the directors of Relage. And I'm excited today to take everyone through the process of the different pathways that we have for Canada. And just before we get started, I will start with saying that I am a nursing by profession, and I have gone through some of these pathways that I'm going to talk about today. I came to Canada through the permanent resident pathway, and I also went through the nursing registration pathway that I will be elaborating about today. And so I know what it means to be a nurse out there in Kenya, and it means also not to be a nurse, but also be interested in doing a permanent resident application and going through it, and successfully going through it because you have met the requirement and you have gone through the right pathway, and you've got that information for you to of what it takes to go through the process. And so information is very important. And also, having been registered in Canada and being working in an education institution here, I feel I have really gotten an opportunity to understand the education system in Canada and been able to know what are some of the things that we need to tell our people in Africa and in Kenya per se to make them understand what they need to know about these opportunities that we have here and how they can utilize them to make their dreams come true. And so it's quite a good opportunity to have you all here today. I know we may not talk about everything here because the time is limited, but we are focusing on talking about the three. And so I will be asking one of our own to share the PowerPoint so that I can move on with giving you the information that we have today. And I was delighted to see even someone who was even asking questions before, we went through it, because that is a positive gesture that we have people who are yearning for this information, people who want to take action so that they get what they want. And so we are going to be welcoming your questions. Whenever you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat box. And also at the end, maybe if you don't want to put it there, we'll be giving opportunity for you to ask your questions. So you'll be able to be unmuted. And so you can ask your questions maybe in a more elaborate way. So just as I say, I'm going to take you through the three pathway for Canada. And the first thing that I will start with is the nursing registration. I know we have so many nurses in Kenya that are looking to know what it takes to be registered in Canada. And so I will be taking you in a summary into this process. And then I look at the permanent resident application process and also how to study in Canada, like the opportunities that are there and how we can come in to support you in that. So when it comes to the nursing registration, Canada, just like any other countries, and also as you realize, also in Kenya, we have different cadres of nursing that the licensing body recognizes and also registers. So we have the licensed practical nursing, and this is equivalent to the certificate nursing in Kenya. We have the registered nursing and also registered psychiatry nursing. The difference between the two, the registered and the registered psychiatry nursing, is that some provinces choose to register their RNs in the category of psychiatry nursing, those who specifically have experience and want just to be registered as psychiatry nursing. But with a registered nurse, which is the second category here, you're able, like you're an authentic nurse who can even work in those provinces as an RN. But if you want to specialize in those provinces in psychiatry, then you have the opportunity to do so. So basically, these are just a few of the provinces that have the separate cadre of the registered psychiatry nurses, but even registered nurses in the other provinces are able to work in nursing mental units. So don't feel like that leaves you out if you're only getting registered as an RN, but not as a registered psychiatry nurse. So this process of nursing registration has got two steps. And the first step is the NNAS registration. This NNAS stands for National Nursing Assessment Services. And this is as I will elaborate in the next slides, this is a process whereby you send your documents to this body, which is a separate body that deals with assessment of your credentials. And then after that, they will now give you an advisory report, and then you go on to the second step. So the second step is the regulatory College of Nursing Assessment for registration application. And we'll look into that in the next slides. So just to elaborate more on the steps that a nurse needs to take in the NNAS registration, there are some requirements to it. And one thing is that a nurse has to pay the NNAS application fee, which currently is $650 US, and this is paid directly to NNAS. And also they have to present or to have 2 identity documents, and that is either your passport, your national ID, your birth certificate, and they need to be notarized before you submit them. You also need to, they also ask that you submit your nursing certificate, either if it's certificate, diploma, or your university certificate, and also transcripts and curriculum that they request that they be sent by the institutions where you schooled. So in this, they also ask for Nursing Council of Kenya, if you're trained in Kenya, to have your registration certificate as well as a valid practicing license. And if you're not trained in Kenya, then this will apply to your licensing body in your country. And so as you, as the Nursing Council submits the document to NNS, they have, part of it is the nursing verification. And so there's a fee that is attached to it. And this is 12,000 Kenyan shilling, and it's paid directly to NSCK for nursing verification. So proof of English proficiency is one of the things that you meet as a requirement. And this can either be IELTS. We also have Selburn. Selburn, I won't really talk much about it. It's one of the English proficiency tests that is done here in Canada. It's more clinical based. So nurses have a choice to make either to do the IELTS or the Selburn. But if you are still back home where you need to prove your English proficiency, then IELTS becomes the catch here. And in this case, IELTS should be academic for your nursing registration. So this is IELTS academic version. And before you submit your IELTS results, they need to be less than 6 months old at the time that you're doing the application, because the application process takes some time and they don't want it to expire before then. I know the expiration time is 2 years. It doesn't go that far, but they just want to make sure that it hasn't taken too long. So there are other forms that are required for this procedure, and we have like the nursing education, nursing practice, or employment forms, which need to be filled by your employer of what you've done as nursing roles in the last 5 years. And then, as I mentioned, the nursing verification form. So this is part of a form that you need to fill and then take it to Nursing Council. And then after that, now they do the verification, attach their documents, and send to NNS. So just to mention a little bit about the requirements for IELTS, and as I said, this is academic version. So most of the provinces in Canada have an average requirement of 7 IELTS. And in this, you need to have 7.5 in listening, 7 in speaking, 6.5 in reading, and 7 in writing. And you may have, I think we have 2 or so provinces that require higher grades than this. And basically it's an addition of 0.5 in most of, all these categories. So you may find 7.5 as the average, and then an addition of 0.5 in the different modules. So just be aware, as you choose the province where you're applying, then you need to check the IELTS requirement. I would advise someone who feels that they can do maybe pretty well in IELTS to look at the province that has just this as the minimum requirement, because it's easier to get this than anything higher than this. So once you've submitted all your documents and now NNS has gone through them, assessed them, they come up with an advisory report. And this report, they send it to the nursing registration body that you have applied. So in this case, because Canada has got different provinces, you don't just get one for every place in Canada, but you had actually chosen a certain place, a certain province that you needed to have your registration done. So this advisory report is sent by NNS to that college, and they also give you a copy of the report. So from here now, you continue with the next step, which is the regulatory College of Nursing Assessment for registration application. So you pay the fee to the nursing body, and then depending on what the advisory report is, then they can ask you to do a seeker. In this case, it's this is the subsistence equivalence competence assessment, which is more of a skills lab assessment to test if whatever your advisory results say that you were not up to the competence level of Canadian education. So they can assess now to see if you can demonstrate that in a lab situation. And so if you do that, then and parse, they give you now a go ahead of preparing for the licensing exam and sitting for it. Depending also on the advisory report, especially if you choose not to go through the seeker, then they have an option of RN bridging course. And this RN bridging course, you enroll to it if you choose that as the option without the seeker, and then you go through the program. Again, there are those who choose to go through the seeker, and maybe there are like 3 competencies that you were not that were not equivalent to the Canadian education. And so maybe you pass 2 and you remain 1. And so the recommendation by the college will be just to do a bridging course, maybe of that particular course in the program, which could be like 2 months or so. So just to mention about the preparation for nursing license, for Canada, there are 2 exams that are done, which are categorized depending on the registration that you're doing. So if you're doing LPN, which is the licensed practical nurse, and which I said for you being in Kenya as an enrolled nurse, you have an opportunity to apply for this nursing cadre. So you do the Canadian practical nurse registration exam. And if you are registering as an RN or as a psychiatry nurse, then you do the NCLEX RN. And after that, after passing your registration exam, there is an exam called the jurisprudence exam. And this is an exam which is open book, which you do to get to know. They first give you the notes of what you need to understand about the issues, specific issues on healthcare in that province that you're applying to get registered in. And so it's open book, so you can you can refer whenever you want, and it has a length of time that you can do that. Actually, I've never had anyone who has failed a jurisprudence exam. So you do the jurisprudence exam either for LPN or for RN, and then you become licensed to work in Canada as a nurse. And just before I move on to the next place, just to clarify, for an LPN, the process is usually shorter, as you know, with the experience that I have here, I can say that, because once the advisory report is out, mostly if there are any competencies that are missing and you do the seeker, that becomes like you do the seeker, you pass, and then you do the licensing, as opposed to the RN who may, depending on the advisory report, be asked to do the RN bridging course. But they are all doable, they're all practical, and they're all beneficial, because I've talked to people who have gone through the bridging program, and for sure it's very helpful to know how to do things in the Canadian way, how to get yourself, even because they organize the theory and they also organize practical sessions in the hospital. And so you are able to get into that Canadian way of doing things, those machines, their language, the communication style, before you are registered as a nurse. And you don't want to get registered and then you have your license revoked because you don't meet the practice level of the Canadian way. So it's quite helpful, even for that person who says, who is told to do the RN bridging program. So having discussed about this first pathway, I'm going to move on to the second pathway, which is the permanent resident application. So basically, if you want to achieve your dream to live and work in Canada as a permanent resident, there's a pathway for you. And we've got, I know many of you might have heard about the Express Entry program, which is a program that Canada the government of Canada have put across so that people apply for permanent resident. There are different programs in it. And today I'm only going to talk more about the federal skilled worker program, because that is more relevant to what most of our people need back home, because many people finish Form 4, they get jobs. I mean, they go to college, they get jobs. And now this is an application whereby as a skilled worker who has been working in Kenya, you stand a better chance of applying for permanent resident and being considered because you already have the skills. And Canada is in need of people who have skills so that they can positively impact into the economic growth of the country. So the other two are different. They have different requirements. They may be hard because sometimes, like the first one, it's more about you wanting to start an enterprise, a business in Canada. And so there's the amount of money you have to show that you have so that you can start an established business in Canada. And we have the Canada Experience class that mostly is more of you having like an employer giving you a job and going through the application process in that way. So just to move on, I will elaborate more on the Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is part of the Express Entry. So the Citizenship and Immigration Canada uses a comprehensive ranking system, which is a scoring way in which they determine how candidates rank in the Express Entry draw pool. And so it means those who apply for PR through the entry program are put in a pool of like, an IT pool per se. And then after that, they are selected from that depending on how much score they have. And we are going to look at some of the items that this ranking system looks for. So the criteria into which is considered as you do your application in the Express Entry is first your age, the language proficiency, the skills, your education level, your work experience, adaptability, and also arranged employment. All these factors, you don't have to meet them. However, for those who meet all of them, they get more points into the pool. For example, just to mention, we have just back on the criteria. It's not that there's a certain cut point for age, but they put the age brackets into, let's say you have 24 to 30 years. I'm just giving an example. So you get more scores, maybe, if I may give an example, like 20 as compared to someone who is above 30, maybe between 30 and 40, like that. So yeah, this is the criteria that they use. And so it's what we're gonna advise you on as we take you through the PR process. So what the requirements are for those who want to do their PR application through Relage. You register with Relage, and then the client is allocated or assigned to a designated advisor or consultant who guides them through the process. But then, whether you're doing it alone or you're doing it with us, the list of documents that are required to initiate the application. And one thing that needs to be done, because you're schooled in a different, in an international country, I mean, you're trained internationally, so you need to do credential assessment. And this means you're required to send part of your academic qualification to a body to do assessment and tell you whether your education level meets the level of the Canadian. And so they will give you a credential assessment report after you send your credentials. That's your transcript, your certificates, and so forth. They also need, you also need to have employers' letters for where you've been working the past 5 years. and not necessarily that the 5 years is the limit. Actually, the PR application process under express entry requires one to have at least a minimum of 1 year experience. So you also need to have English proficiency test. And in this case, this is the general version. So remember, when you are applying for nursing registration, you're doing the academic version, but for PR application, it's the general version of IELTS. So what happens after that? You have the creation of an express entry account and initiation of the immigration application process upon receipt of all the required documents. And then the client is notified of their ranking, the CRS ranking, after they have submitted the document, because the ranking, as I said, is done as per the criteria that I went through, and then they are advised accordingly. So once you are located, our consultant or advisor, they take you through that and they see what scores you have. And then if your scores are not too high, then you are advised accordingly on how to increase them. For example, you can be advised to increase your language scores. That's your IELTS scores. For example, if you have a score of, let's say, 5 or maybe 6, then there's a higher score. Someone who has a 7 will get more scores than someone who has 5. So you can increase your scores by increasing your English proficiency results, as well as also increasing your job experience or getting a provincial nomination, or also getting a job offer. Again, if you have a spouse and you put them as part of the application, it gives you more scores than if you're applying when you're single, or maybe leaving your spouse out and applying as an individual. So those are ways that we look at the areas that give additional points, so that we address that, so that you reach a good score and be able to be given an invitation to apply for PR. And we can also look at, completing of any other qualification that you have not met in your application, just to advise and make sure that at least you have a good score. So the Relate consultant will monitor the profile regularly to communicate for any communication that is coming in, and also makes sure that you are aware of that. And once the application is processed by the immigration office, so the client is issued what we call an ITA, invitation to apply for PR. So once you get that, then the client at that point should submit now the remaining documents so that they complete the case processing. And there's a limit of days that you need to do that. Mostly, currently they give 60 days. So I want you to know that when you were launching the application earlier, that is an online application. Now at this stage, they look at it and they're like, well, you meet what it needs. And so they tell you, now attach the document. So at this point, some of the documents that you may be asked, maybe that you did not have to provide initially, is like medical health assessment, which is mostly in Kenya done at the IOM. Then we have the police abstract, and also a bank statement. So the amount of the bank statement is dependent on the number of people that you've included in the application. So if you're doing it alone, you're single, the amount will be less than someone maybe who is married, and so they're doing application for 2 people, or maybe if they're including their kids in there. So there's also some payment that needs to be done, and this is the immigration application fee for the principal applicant, the co-applicant, who is in this case your partner, and also for the kids. And all this fee is paid directly to the Immigration and Citizens Canada. You don't pay it to Real Age, but we guide you on the link where you need to pay that. Then there's also another fee that is known as the right of permanent residence, and this is only paid by those individuals who are in your application but above 18 years. So in this case, if it's an application that includes maybe you, your spouse, and your kids, it's only you and your spouse that pay that. So upon approval of the application, then the client is notified on the decision. And in most cases, if all the information that you gave is as clean as you put it, you will be actually considered for PR, and then you will receive a notification from the embassy to send your passport so that they be fix the visas. And then after the visas are received, and then you get some forms that are known as the confirmation for permanent resident. And so you're free to move to Canada. So below here, this is basically the fee that I mentioned up here. So when it comes to the permanent resident processing fee, an adult will pay $8.25 Canadian dollars, same to the spouse. And then the kid will pay each $2.25 Canadian dollars. And for the right of permanent resident fee, every individual above 18 years pays 500 Canadian dollars. These are the rates that are there currently. They're subject to change. And if that changes, you'll be given that. So I know maybe probably someone would be like, what is this Canadian dollars? And sometimes it confuses when you're dealing with the Kenyan shilling. So the rate right now is around 1 Canadian dollar is equivalent to around 89 Kenyan shilling. So you can do that mathematics. So some of the benefits of applying for permanent resident or getting a permanent resident for Canada is that you're given an opportunity to move into Canada with your family. And again, there is free healthcare, and you get an opportunity to get a personal doctor whom you can see as many times as possible, even in a week, and all that is free. There's also free education system in Canada from primary to secondary. In this case, like the system here is a little bit different from the Kenyan system. So it starts from, I can call the primary here now means nursery. And then we have elementary, which runs from class 1 to 6, which in this case, grade 1 to 6. And then we have junior high school from grade 7 to 9. And then the secondary here now is the Canadian high school, which is from grade 10 to 12. So per se, the years are the same, just like the 844 system. So another benefit is that you get government support for child benefit, as well as education bond. So what I mean by this is that if you move in Canada with kids, or maybe you get kids in Canada while you're here, so the government gives you benefit for taking care of these kids. So at the end of the month, you're given something to help you take care of the kids. And also the government encourages you to have an education bank account. And once you open a saving account for education for the kids, then the government also pays a certain amount at the end of every year into that education account. The other thing is freedom to work as many hours as you want, because we will be coming later to see like the requirement or the limitation for hours as you work probably as a student. And so once you're a permanent resident, you are free to work, either to change your career, work in a different career if you want, or continue with your career and work as many hours as you can. So if you want to go beyond the full-time job and maybe get another one during your offs, you're free to do that. So as a permanent resident, you have privileges of a Canadian citizen apart from voting. So even the education system is different when you come to training your kids, maybe in university or college. So you pay as a Canadian, the same fee as a citizen, as a Canadian citizen is paying, as opposed to if you're educating your child as an international student. Again, you also can apply for permanent resident. I mean, you can apply from permanent resident to become a citizen once you have lived in the country for 1,095 days within the past 5 years. So if you reach those days before even 5 years, let's say you reach them, you've not gone out of the country, and you reach the requirement of those days within 3 years, you're free to apply for your citizenship. So I think there's something a little bit technical about the sharing of the slides, but we are going to be continuing with the third pathway, and that is coming or going to Canada as a student.
Thank you, Emma. I mean, you've been a very good teacher for the last, thanks for the very insightful sharing. So a couple of questions are coming in, and of course, as we wait for the slides, so somebody's asking for the PR process. I mean, you mentioned the amounts in terms of bank statement. So do you have, somebody's asking like any specifics, like, if one is one person, the way you say it's single person, and somebody who has a family. So how is the difference in the amounts?
Actually, I don't have the specifics right away, but I can check that out, and I will be able to share it in our group chat. But just to give an estimate, because I have gone through that time and again, is only that I need to be very specific on giving this. A translation of the Canadian, because they give the limit in Canadian equivalent. So it's, as an individual, if you're single, it's around 850,000 and 900,000, around that amount. If you're applying, maybe you and your spouse, it could come to around 1,400,000. If maybe it's you alone with your kids, maybe if you have one kid, the amount is less than if you have two, and so forth. But it's not really, the difference actually depends on, are they adults, are they kids, and also how many they are. So thank you so much for answering that, and for asking that, and I'll be able to give the exact, which is, and it also changes with time. So as the inflation goes up, things change. So I will only be able to give the exact as at now.
Good. Thanks. So you probably just want to proceed. Thanks.
Okay. So I was on to the last point, which I said you're able to apply for your PR after living in the country for 95 days within the past 5 years of the application. So I will move on to the last category, which is getting yourself to study in Canada. And I know one of the questions was coming from there. So I hope at the end of the day, we are going to have that answered. So Village offers guidance to people who want to go to Canada as students. And so this is not specifically for nurses. So it's open to everyone, just like the PR process. And so we make sure that you're able at least to liaise with you. We have a discussion, you give us what your choices are, and then we help you into identifying that affordable college or university that you want to go to. So another thing that we do is guiding you through the application process as well as the study visa application. And by so doing, we ensure that at least you're able to meet the qualifications that are needed before you get yourself into the application and realize, oh, I didn't meet this requirement, so you get a rejection. So we really want to assist those who want to go through the process so that they don't they go through it successfully. And one of the requirements in this is having a bank statement, which is a common thing that the government would want to know if you're able to take care of your education and your expenses when you come to Canada. So as part of the study permit application, there is that estimate that they give in the letter. And and also when you go online to apply for that. So you'll be able to see the specifics of that. And it's mainly a 1-year tuition, housing and upkeep. So what we look for a candidate who says that they are interested in studying in Canada is first, do they have a KCSE certificate? Then have they gone through any other education? Maybe do they have a college or a university certificate? And so, because this is part of what we'll need to guide you and see how qualified you are for the course that you want to take. And we also give you like an option to give us 3 courses that you want to do, so that if we miss one, we can get to number 2 and so forth. And also the preferred province and the course duration. For example, do you want to do a course for 1 year? Or do you want 2 years? Do you want 4 years? Is it a master's program? Is it a degree program? Is it a college maybe? And so for the answer to the question that someone wanted to know, if you're doing technical courses, yes, you can come to Canada and study a technical course. In most cases, Canada has got colleges that offer technical courses, and they can either be a 1-year course or a diploma course of 2 years, but more technical oriented. So just to mention some of the benefits that come with studying in Canada. 1, you get international education. So that is a plus than if you're only trained in your mother country. Another thing, when you go to Canada as a student, you're permitted by the government to work at least a maximum of 20 hours in a week. And that gives you an opportunity to earn and also to save for tuition if maybe you want that supplemental kind of fund. Again, you can apply for work permits upon completion of your study. And the work permit is dependent on the period of study that you did. So for example, if you had a 1-year course, your work permit will be less as compared to someone who did a 4-year course or a 2-year course, and maybe the maximum actually is 3 years work permit. So it's advisable you don't go for the very least period of time, because you get less of the work permit. But if that's all what your interest is, because you can still come and go further into the next level of that course, that means an extension of the study permit and also a longer work permit at the end of the day. So with coming to Canada as a student, you're also allowed to be joined by your spouse and your family as you come to study. And so once you come here with the kids, they get free education. So you're not going to be paying as you work, as you study, so the kids will get free education. And also your spouse is able to apply for an open work visa. That means they are able to work full-time hours as you work the minimum of 20 hours. Again, you can apply for permanent resident after meeting the requirements while you are on your work visa. So this is another opening for you becoming a permanent resident. And again, you have the PR advantage because you already, as we looked at the criteria up there, you saw education is one of the things, and adaptability is another one. So if you have Canadian education, and you have Canadian work experience, which you will get after getting a work permit after the studies, then that is a plus because you earn those points, as opposed to someone who is applying for PR back home, because in the adaptability bit, they may not be able to get those scores there. So I think having said that, I know that is in a nutshell, kind of summarized, but if you have any questions, feel free to do so. So I'm gonna take you through some of the services that we offer at Real Age, which are related to the Canadian pathways. So for any nurse who wants to go through the NNS application process, we do guidance with that, and you pay only 5,000 Kenyan shilling. Again, as you saw in the process, there are different processes that require IELTS. First, the nursing registration requires academic IELTS, and the PR process requires general version. So we do IELTS training, and our fee is 8,500. And there's also a bonus referral, a bonus of 500 Kenyan shilling if you have a referral. So that becomes something motivating there. So as you saw also in the nursing registration process, nursing registration exam, the NCLEX will be required. And so we prepare nurses to do the NCLEX exam. And so you'll only pay 10,000 shillings. Then for the permanent residence consultancy fee, we only charge you only 1,000 USD. And you can bear me witness, many of the agents are requiring their clients to pay even 3,000 USD. So this is a pretty good offer if you consider that. And the other thing is for the school application program and study permit guidance, you only pay 30,000 to Relage, and you're taken through the process. You identify yourself to get a school that you want. We take you through the process. After you get the admission letter, we also guide you into the requirements of applying for your study permit until all that is done and you pay that amount. So that's all what I had for you today, and I'm eager to answer your questions, which I know are coming. And just before I finish, we have our contacts here. We have our WhatsApp number here on the screen. Please take note of it if you don't have it. We also have our email, at which is talktous@relage.co.ke. You can find us in our Facebook page, and our website is www.relage.co.ke. So feel free to check in these media and link up with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma. I mean, I would say maybe let's clap for Emma, but because it's Zoom, there's a reactions there. You can press and say maybe I love Emma, thank you, Emma, or maybe I hate the presentation. But for me, thank you so much, Emma, for taking your time to take us through the 3 ways of getting to Canada as a nurse or as any other person or as a student, which is very, very interesting. So I'll be taking questions from the floor, but before we get there are a couple of questions that have come in. And of course, the way you said, if you haven't registered for NCLEX exam, for IELTS exam, reach out to us because we have an intake coming in on 1st July, and you probably will want to take advantage of this information as fast as you can, because they say information is power. So we've empowered you to make the decision. So hopefully you'll make the decision. So the first question, Emma, is on PR. Do you have an age limit for PR? Because I'm sure somebody's here. They want to also see whether it's possible for them to consider permanent residence. So do you have an age limit for PR?
Basically, there's no age limit for PR, and it also depends on the program that you're applying. For example, you may get someone who is 55 years old will get very few scores for when they do the CRS ranking, as opposed to someone who is like in their 20s or their 30s. So it's good you do it as early as possible. Again, if your child is the one applying for PR, then there's other programs like the family sponsorship program, which also are for PR applications. So your child is able to sponsor you to join as a parent. And there's also an opportunity for other people, maybe if you adopt your relatives, or if you have also your grandmother. So there are those programs for family sponsorship. So if you feel like the age will really cut you out or give you lesser scores, then you can also look at in your family, whom can you support to do the PR, and then give you the advantage of the other programs.
Oh, nice. Good. That's a very clever way of doing it. So thanks for that. So the other question, Emma, is yeah, it's on NNS registration. So the question is it possible that after the NNS registration, the advisory report feedback is nullified or you're disqualified?
For sure, if you are a nurse and you have a nursing license, I've not heard any person being nullified for NNS evaluation. What happens, because one of the things, as we saw in the requirement, is that your school has to give a copy of the curriculum that they used. And so they compare that with the Canadian level. And depending on how brief that your curriculum is, they may feel like it doesn't meet the Canadian nursing education. So what they do, they will say is not comparable. Being comparable, the event right there, that doesn't mean that you cannot be registered in Canada. It only means you need to go into the next step of meeting those competencies that you don't meet in that. Another thing that can be a catch is also because there's credential assessment that, although probably that may not be required for NNS, will be required for the PR, but that is one of the ways of showing you that your application is up to the standard. But I have not seen anyone being disqualified. If you're a nurse and you just forward what they need, they can come back and forth asking for maybe any mistakes that are there in your forms. Maybe if maybe you send an authorized, non-certified copies, and so you resend again, just things like that. But at the end of the day, if you're a nurse registered in Kenya and meet the requirement, and one thing I did not say, that the nursing registration process the NNS application requires you to have 2 years work experience in your country after graduation. So if you meet that requirement, then you will be given an advisory report.
Nice, thanks Emma for that. So the other question is on somebody is asking, can they go with, like, the question is, can I go first with the first pathway, then later apply for PR?
So thank you for that question. So I guess what you're referring as the first pathway is the nursing registration.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, that is a very good question, because you need to know, like, you need to get all information of how to get yourself in Canada and get started. And one thing that you may realize with the Canadian application process is that it may be a little bit different than other processes, like maybe, if I may give an example, like the UK, but it has its own way, which if you follow or if you get information of how to do it, you find yourself at the end of the day there. So what I advise nurses is, if you want to be in Canada, first look at what are the ways to take you to Canada, because the government currently may not have those agents that work to get nurses to the country, and nursing is a regulated program. And it being regulated, they may not employ you, and they will not employ you if you're not registered. So go through your registration process as you work also on other means of getting yourself to Canada, and that is the PR application. It's an easy way. And the reason why I brought the two today is because there are those nurses who will choose to come into the country as students, but they know they're going through the nursing registration process. So they know in these 20 hours that they need to be working part-time, they already have a license, so they'll be working as nurses and building their history, their experience history. And so by the time they're coming to get their work permit, they're getting into the healthcare system and working full-time hours. There are other nurses who choose the other option of applying for PR. And because with PR, it's open for everyone. It's open for you. You will apply, you will come to Canada, but you're like, I will need to go and continue with my career as a nurse. So what do? You look at the career requirements and you'll be required to do nursing registration. So you do them. So by the time you're moving to Canada, you already have a license. So you are going to start working as an RN straight away, or maybe as an LPN straight away. So that's how these processes merge. And it becomes beneficial if you get someone who is going to give you that information as it is, so that you can know these are steps. They may look long, but they are not if you have the patience and you know where you are heading to.
Okay, thanks. I mean, we are all here because of money at some point, right? So tell us more about the salaries. How are the salary scales there? Of course, I'm very sure you might be knowing for nurses. I don't know whether you're certain with the other professions, but how is it? I mean, how are the salaries generally compared to where you've been, for example, Kenya or any other place?
Okay, that's a good question, and thank you, Ronald, and the person who asked that. One thing, even if you're doing the lowest paying job in Canada, you will obviously be getting a lot of money, because Canada has got the lowest paying wage of around 11, and some provinces are $13 per hour. That is, if you never went to school, at a high school ulikata, but you got yourself in Canada, maybe through the PR process, your parents included you because you are their kids and you came and you didn't want to go to school, so you get that. So that is the least. And that is what you will get as the least. Then other professions obviously have different wages and different ratings. For nurses, if I may mention, if you're working as an LPN, who is now like the certificate nurse in Kenya, you get a minimum of $24 in an hour. And that is in the low paying provinces, because provinces in Canada vary their wages. You may find someone who is an LPN in a different province being paid $34 per hour, but the minimum is $24, $25. Then as an RN, the pay in the lowest paying provinces start from 34.5 or $35 per hour, and goes up even up to around $52 per hour, depending on your qualification and your experience. And one advantage I found with Canada is that they consider your past experience that you had, provided you have the HR of the place where you're working before in Kenya, to write a summary of all the hours, like a letter of the hours that you work. Let's say you worked in this organization for 3 years, and every year you are working maybe 15,000 hours or something like that. So that is looked into as they do the pay. So you're not going to lose it. But even though you may have higher education in Kenya, the starting point should be nursing registration. Even if you have a PhD and you want to work in anything associated with nursing, you have to first be registered. And then after that, now your PhD is recognized.
Good. The other question, Emma, is you've mentioned provinces and you said you're based in Nova Scotia, right?
Yes.
So how is the decision for how is the decision for provinces and then maybe other people are interested also in knowing how long will the process take if they join Relage today? How long will it take them to be in Canada?
Okay, I think I will first start with answering the last question actually. The duration. First, it depends on which pathway you are taking. If you are doing the school program, what matters is which intake you want to come to apply for. For example, right now, the application for September 21 intake is already over for international students. And that is because there's a process. you have to apply, you have to wait for the response, and then you have to apply for the study permit. And so the government puts a deadline on, you know what, you can still forward your application, but if you have forwarded it after this day, we may not meet the requirements for you to report, maybe in September. So right now, the openings that are there are for January and September, and also fall, I mean, not fall, spring, that is May 2022. And so once you get your application and done, you may take like, let's say, a month before you receive your admission letter, and sometimes even less than that if you meet all the requirements. For example, if you're meant to have your school send the transcripts to the school you're applying to, and they do that without any delays, then that may take less than a month. Then now there is the process now of applying for the study permit, and the government gives 12 weeks for that. And so within those 12 weeks, you'll be able to get a response for your study permit application. So in a nutshell, I think I can give that like 4 months.
Mhm.
Or at maximum, depending on when you do it anyways, and which intake you want to go. It may take 4 to 6 months, but that is, it can also take less than that. So when you talk about the PR application, this is a massive application. You're talking about moving from Kenya with your family and immigrating to live and work in Canada. So just as it's massive, it also takes time for them to do all those checks and everything and make sure that you meet the requirements. So the government gives a period of 6 months from the time they give you an invitation to apply for PR. And so what I've seen from experience is that they do it within those 6 months and 1 year, because remember when they gave you an ITA, you needed to also to do medical examination, and the medical examination usually expires within a year. And so the government doesn't want you to do another examination if it expires. Obviously, that seems like a delay on their side. So they kind of make a decision within that year. So what matters in that process is how vigilant you are in meeting the preliminary documents and requirements. And once you're given an ITA within a year, you get your invitation, your confirmation for PR. So that may take from the start to the end, I can say maximum 2 years, minimum 6, more than 6 months, because you're giving the assessment 6 months after the ITA. The nursing registration process also depends on how you've prepared your documents, how fast you are, because some people take longer, others don't. So from the time you submit all the documents, it can take around 4 weeks. They say 4 to 6 weeks, but sometimes because of backlog, it can take a little bit longer. So it's upon you to be as fast as possible in getting the requirements, and also linking with the consultant that you're assigned to, at least to make sure that you are on path so that you don't really take a long time. So the other question was about settling in a certain province in Canada.
Yeah,
It
because some
works.
of us have never, some of those names are super new. Like the only province we know is maybe Nyanza province of the former Rift Valley and Northeastern. So Nova Scotia, British Columbia becomes probably a super new thing for us. So just expound more on that.
Okay, that's cool. And it's okay even not to know about any other province apart from where we come from, because that's where we come from and we have the privilege of knowing where we come from. So when you're looking at the province that you're settling in, some people have different preferences for different things. There are provinces that are larger, like their capital city is larger than others, which are more populated than others. For example, when you look at a province like Ontario, I know many people, when they hear of Canada, they hear about Ontario. It's highly populated. It's really fast-paced. Another province that is becoming more populated in the capital city is Vancouver, which is at the far west of Canada. So depending on what you want, there are those people who want to be in a smaller city, which offers all what the others offers, but it's smaller because the population is smaller. Another thing is the weather. So that's another thing that people look at. There's some provinces that are, Canada being in the North Pole, it can be cold sometimes. That's something you need to be aware of and really study and know, do I like cold weather? It's not cold all the time. Right now we have summer and we are enjoying it so much. We also have spring and fall, which are pretty good time of the year because you get to see the leaves changing, becoming red, yellow, green, and sometimes blue, even when it looks like unrealistic for a leaf to be, that color. So there are different things that you look at. And also, probably another thing that you shouldn't forget is the tax, because some countries, some provinces have got higher taxes than the others, depending on how much the population is and also their aging population. And the good thing which you need to balance there is that those countries with slightly higher aging population need more of the workforce because they need people to go and do those jobs because most of their population is aging and so are retiring or are retired.
Good. Thank you, Emma. So I think at this point I'll be taking questions from the floor, but before we get to the questions side, I'd love to welcome one of my colleagues or friends who is also pursuing this Canada process to kind of just share her insights in a minute. So Judith Ngoli, you're there. But I'm sorry to call her Dr. or Judith Ngoli. She's supposed to be called Dr. Judith Ngoli. So I'm sorry for that. So Dr. if you're there, please, you can share your experience in a few.
Probably someone to unmute her.
Yeah, I've done that. Hi, Jude.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Sorry, I got a call that interrupted the meeting I was following, so I cannot tell. I don't know what you did ask about me, but of course I'm interested in this program. So if you don't mind, you can repeat the question.
I just asked. You're doing your Canada PR process. How is it so far?
Oh boy, yes. Thanks for asking that. I've just started the process. I put in the papers through West. So I'm about to sit for IELTS. Maybe I've not yet paid. So maybe in 2 months' time. I know I've been told that it's not this thing that you just get to rush into doing. So you really need to practice, and that's why I'm coming here.
You probably need to, that's when we're coming in, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. That is why I'm coming in so that I can be able to learn from you people and just get to know. So because I really want to get this right.
Yeah.
I'm really excited by what you people you're doing. I mean, it's encouraging because people don't get to have people to guide them through the process or tell them what to do. So what you're doing, like you rightfully said, is beyond even the money that we get to pay. It's you're changing lives, because as someone who has gotten an opportunity to work out there, I know there is a lot of fortune out there, and that is the reason why I still want to go back. So I really applaud you, and I'm excited about how you're doing. Ron and team, God bless.
Thanks, Jude. I didn't mention that you travel a lot. Also, you did your internship. You worked for Boeing at some point in the US, right?
Yes, I did.
Good, thanks. Thanks so much, Jude, for your time.
Okay.
Yeah, so back to you, Emma. Let's get a few questions. This Galaxy A12. Okay, Galaxy. You can ask your question. And Shani. Galaxy, you can proceed. Who is ready? Who is ready to?
They are muted, and I'm not sure if they have,
Okay.
they can
Okay.
unmute themselves.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Noah.
Yes, Noah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm streaming
see
live
your
from
beautiful,
Kiambu.
yeah, you can see your, I don't know, your son or daughter.
He's a son.
Good.
Yeah. My question
Yes.
is that for many people who probably like me,
Yes.
I never got that grade for it to allow me to do nursing.
Yes.
Do you have a baseline like CNA? I've been researching on CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant.
Yes.
How? Can you kindly guide me how I can start from down there and then I rise to that higher course?
That's a good one. So, do you have any qualifications or not yet?
Yeah. Currently,
Yes.
I've been working. For the past like 4 to 5 years, I've been working in a certain hospital, Kijabe Hospital.
Nice.
And and then I went to a college. I differed and I did like electrical
engineering.
Yes, I did a certificate in it. I've been practicing it. And then I have a passion about patient care assistant or patient attendance. That was my area course and work area.
Thank you. So let me just bring in Emma. What's your take on that?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Noah. And listening to your story, I think there are opportunities there for you in Canada. First, you're looking at the nursing assistant pathway. And that is an experience that you have from back in Kenya, but you are not, maybe you've not schooled in that. So you can, and also you have electrical, something that you've done as a career. I think looking at that, and the one that looks a little bit more workable is if you can choose, because I know Canada also has programs that certify continuing care assistants, and that is like the nurse aides in Kenya. They go through a process of around 9 to 1 year course. So you can consider that applying for training in such a course if your passion is more in the healthcare than the electrical. And then after that, you get into the healthcare workforce in Canada. You can also, Canada has got a very good career progression. So even someone who starts from the nursing aid, they can even go up to PhD level. So if in that you want to maybe do the licensed practical nursing, there's opportunity for that. And most colleges even offer credit transfer. So you may realize that some of the courses that you did in the continuing care course that you will apply may have now to be taken off. So you won't need to do them as you do the licensed practical nursing. And a licensed practical nurse can also progress up the ladder, maybe do an RN, and then after that a master's and then a PhD. So it's all dependent on you. And in case you also feel like you need to go to a school to do, maybe if you feel like you want to do the electrical thing, there's also that for you, but mostly the education pathway seems much more feasible for you.
Thank you, Emma. I think Noah, you've had the advice from Emma. So before I let in another person to ask, there's a question here. There's a question here, Emma, on there's somebody who is asking, how is the standard of living in Canada? Is it high or is it low? And somebody is fearing that when they come to Canada, maybe by the end of the month, they not have anything to send back home. How is that?
Well, from experience, I can say sometimes the cost of living is also dependent on personal preferences and how you manage your money. Because even there are people back home who will be paid 10,000, but they will still educate their kids. But there are those who will be given 10,000 and are always on credits. So it's more of the preference of where do you put your money? But I can say for Canada, things are a little bit different than Kenya. The housing cost is a little bit higher, but still manageable because we are able to be here. We are able to pay for those houses. We are able to save and we are able to do other things. Food sometimes can also be expensive, but just a few things, not everything. But remember, the minimum wage, if it's like $12, and that is hata kama ni ile kazi ya kwenda in Kenya tutasema ile ya kwenda kuosha waru, sasa at least you're getting 1,200 per hour, then that is something. So at the end of the day, people are able to make ends meet and also save. I have worked in Kenya myself, and I am now working in Canada, and I've been here for some time, and looking at the two, I cannot regret, because you can even be paid more than even twice what you can get in Kenya, even when you are having a very good job.
Good, thanks, Emma, for that clarification. Then, of course, there are people who will want to, live other people's lives, like, right? I mean, somebody said even if you're taken to US or Canada or UK, without you managing your finances well, then you'll still be broke, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so thanks for that. So Shani, if you can unmute yourself to ask a question. I'm also having here and somebody's asking Emma if you can speak Swahili. I mean, that's a bit off card, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I just said a statement in Swahili. So I speak very good Swahili.
Okay, thanks.
Hello.
So, yeah, Shani.
Yes, it's me.
Good, finally,
Now,
at least.
Okay, now I'm one person who is working on my way to Canada as a student.
Yes.
And I also apply for a work permit.
Yes.
And Emma has told us that as a student, you're allowed to work for 20 hours per week.
Yes.
That's around like 5 hours in a day.
Yes.
Now, I'm of the opinion. Okay, I'm thinking. I'm even worried. What if I exceed these working hours? Are there penalties in them? And what if I have two jobs working this? I'm meeting the same requirement, working 20 hours per week. Is it applicable, or I have to be strict on what I've been given on the visa? Now, another question. Pardon?
Yes, proceed, Shani.
Okay. Now I have another question concerning the scholarship. I've been going through the university which I got. There are several scholarships they are offering.
Yes.
And then there is one which requires referees. So I don't know whether they're the referees from my CV or the referees from my workplace, or I don't know. Maybe you can help me there so that I can also see if I can apply one. And this scholarship, will I be given once I'm a student there, or can I be given when I'm back at home? I think those are the questions I wanted. I needed some clarification.
Oh, thanks. I mean, probably Shani, just to say we are super excited to be, to be working together to see that you're able to get to Canada. And I'm sure your friends here will want to also pursue the same route. That's you can join Shani. So maybe let me allow Emma to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Shani, for your question, and I'll try to answer it. With the with the maximum hours for working with a student permit, that is a regulation by the government. It's not even a regulation by the colleges. And it's a common regulation that even applies to other countries. Even if you're going to school like in UK, in US, those are regulation, and the government has their own reason for setting those regulation. So the problem is actually, for sure, you kind of just have to meet the regulation, because if you are working for two employers, then at the end of the day, they remit your tax, and that is where the government catches you, because the number of hours worked will be sent directly to the website for revenue, and they will be able to know, are you working on a student visa, or are you working on a work permit, or are you a permanent resident? Because one of the requirements when you go to Canada, you'll be given, like the way Kenya has a PIN for everyone, you'll be given a SIN, which is the number that you'll have as a student, and the numbers are different. So they can be in the system, they will say that you're a student. And so the only maximum hours you can work is 20. So people should actually work to just get to do that if they want to work, because that can give you another problem of maybe even being disqualified from your education and being imported back to Kenya. It can be hard. So you don't want to put yourself in that. But once you are done with work, you're able to work on a work permit full-time or even more than full-time hours, and you're able to make much. And another thing, as a student, I also find that they allow you during your breaks. Let's say you are on summer break, which is a whole maybe 2 months break. So you're able to work full-time during that time, and it's not a problem. So yeah, kind of just being within the regulation is quite important. Shani, I can't remember your other question, and I will request that. Oh yeah, I remember you asked about references. So references is any person that you are not related to who knows very well about you. So you can give references to any person, either it's maybe your boss at work or your colleague at work, or but they shouldn't directly be related to you. Like you can't give maybe your sister, your husband to be your reference.
Okay. Now, madam, maybe I need some, I need one more question. I'm a registered nurse and I'm coming there as a student. I know what I'll be doing is this caregiver job. Now, I just wanted to know, what is the maximum pay for a caregiver for a person like me, since I have over 10 years of experience in nursing? So what is the maximum pay?
Basically, as I said, Shani, the pay will depend on the province. But in this case, I already know the province you're going, so I'll just kind of tell you exactly about that province. So a caregiver, they also give, when they're giving you the job, you may have a good employer who is going to give you just the kind of the maximum that they can give, because they know you have RN experience. And so it can be anything between $14 per hour to 17, sometimes 18. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ronald.
Thank you, Shani. And I'd like you how passionate you are and how you've researched around scholarships, how you researched around the kind of jobs you'll be doing already. Like probably that's how people are supposed to be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks. So any other question, or we probably will be ending there.
There's someone who has a hand up, but it's written user 74575138 something.
Yeah, just proceed to ask your question, sir. Hi.
I already have the course, but I don't have that experience. So what I wanted to ask is about, can I be able to go to Canada to study there as a plant operator or heavy machines equipment operator? Is it possible for a person like me to go and study there and then later after I get a job there? Is it possible for a person like me, or to study any other course like plumbing or mechanic? But my personal, I'm getting interested with heavy plant operator, the course I have studied here in Kenya. I want to go there to study there more.
Okay.
Good question, bro. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, in the colleges that offer technical courses, you can actually apply for that. And actually, when you say that, I remember one of the colleges that I know very well that offers that course. So yeah, that's kind of is something that you can achieve. So you can apply for school, and then after that, it's an opportunity sometimes to, when you do that, to get to know the Canadian way of doing it and the regulations that come with it in working in that field. So, and it becomes a plus for you because you already have education before in that. So it's kind of, you're building that. Yeah, you're building on that, which is quite good. So you can apply for school for sure.
Good.
Provided, just one thing that I need to say there, I don't know if, do you have your KCSE certificate? That becomes the minimum qualification, and also, you know, the cluster that they want, but we can help you through that. I think you're muted. Maybe if
yeah.
Okay. So how can I find you? Yeah, I'm in Nairobi actually. How can I find you, or how can I come to your office so you can explain to me better?
Okay, thank you so much. At the end of this, just as I gave the contacts, we're going to bring them on the PowerPoint again, so that any person who wants to know how to contact us, you can take note of that, and then you link up. We also have a phone number or an email address that you can use. So yeah.
What? Oh, can they lose?
Sorry, we lost you there. You're muted.
Admit yourself, sir. Have you managed to unmute yourself? I can see a hand from Olo Babs. Olo? Bernadette?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Bernadette.
Yes.
I had two questions. So one of the question is, Emma talked about the SECA. Yes. And the SECA and the bridging course, the RN bridging course. I wanted to know who trains.
Going to be done with it.
Then the other question is about job. Am I guaranteed of a job when I come to Canada as a nurse?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Emma, you can take that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Benedict. I actually didn't hear your first question, but I got the second one so well. I don't know if you had asked us a first one. So probably I can start answering. Go ahead.
You talked about the SECA and the bridging course. I wanted to know who trains. in case my advisory report is I'm supposed to do a bridging course or the SECA, who trains the two?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your question. Actually, the nursing regulatory schools or body, for that matter, they have linked with different institutions that maybe some of the training could be offered by a school that offers, let's say, licensed practical nursing or RN program for nursing, or it could be government-owned training that is just separate. So it all dependent on the college, on the province that you're applying, but the nursing registration body will refer you there. It's not something that you will not have information. They will link you and tell you for further, to continue with the process, link up with this to accomplish these requirements. So that's how it goes. And the other thing you asked is about whether you are guaranteed a job. I can tell you, Canada is one of the countries that is in dire need of workers. And part of those workers are healthcare workers, because most of the population, not really most, but a big chunk of the population are the aged. And so it depends mostly on workers that are from other countries. And that's why Canada has got a very good program for immigration, because they know if people migrate into the country, they are going to give into the economy of the country. And their kids are also to be part of that population that is now going to be younger and be able to offer for long. So from a personal level, even me, when I was new here, I could apply maybe for 3 jobs, and within a day, I'm getting response from the 3. So I have to choose which one I want to engage with.
Good. Thanks, Emma, for that. Picking the last 2 questions, I guess, then we'll be ending there. So any burning question?
Sigalame huko. Niko huko Sigalame.
Hello.
Iko nini? Iko
Hi.
Busia.
Hello, Ronald.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm a teacher of English.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Ronald.
Good.
Good
Proceed.
evening.
Good evening, sir.
I am a teacher of English.
Yes.
Are you able to get me?
Yes, we can.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I wish to ask the course on proficiency. For somebody who is already a teacher of English, do you need to go through the course? And the other question I had.
Yes.
Sorry.
I have another question. Are there opportunities for teachers, and maybe if you can make a clarification on the opportunities that are available for teachers in Canada? Thank you.
Okay.
So I can take the English on Emma, then you can take the, well, you can actually take both. So just proceed, Emma.
Okay, thank you, Ronald. So if I may start with the first one, basically, and I believe when you ask about English proficiency, you're asking about that test that you have to do to prove that you meet the standard for English. So depending on the pathway that you choose, if it requires you to do English proficiency, for sure, they're not going to consider your background of your profession, but they would want you to meet that. So that becomes probably an
Hey, Emma.
as a nurse, you have to do the English proficiency. And after that, now,
is it my network or Emma's?
I advise people. I'm not sure.
Hey, Emma. Yeah, so I'll take it up. I'll start with the English one. So from the experience, Mr. Olo, I mean, it's ridiculous that you have to do English tests, and yet we've been learning in English from at least class 1 all the way to university or college. So it's very ridiculous, but it's kind of a requirement for you to, a visa requirement for you to show proficiency in the English language. They want you to at least do English and at least do IELTS and at least do like IELTS academic or IELTS general. So it depends with the requirements of the country in which you're going. But it's kind of, you have to do it, whether you train in which degree, you kind of need to do it. For university admissions, in most cases, it's a bit better because you'll get that leeway from the university saying this person is qualified, his degree is good in English or whatever. But if you're going through the PR process and these are the routes, then you probably need to just have it, because when you show that, when you're applying for PR, for example, you have to show if you have English test and you passed better in English test, it gives you higher marks or higher points compared to someone who doesn't have, who hasn't done IELTS test, for example. Yeah. So, Em, I think we lost you, but I'm happy you're back. We're just trying to kind of step in and explain on IELTS. So you can take the second question on demand for, like, teaching related roles.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm sorry for the technical hitches there. So when it comes to opportunities for teachers, I can say the opportunities are there, but it also depends on how flexible you are to look at what other ways you may need to make yourself marketable to get that job, or maybe even if the job is not, you're not getting a job so fast, then what else can you do? Because I know it's something very common with the Western world that healthcare jobs are always there, but some other careers sometimes may become a little bit technical or a problem getting them from the word go. Some people are very flexible to even start in a different career that is associated with that, or maybe start as a casual, so they are only called when there is an opportunity. But then with time, they get the work experience and they are able to get a full-time job. So others also decide, if maybe changing my career is something that can be helpful, or maybe doing a higher course in my teaching profession, can give you a higher advantage, then they choose to go the school way. So I can say all opportunities are there, because this is a country that is open like any other country, which has everything running. So there are people who are needed to teach, there are people who are needed to do those other, to work in those other sectors. But flexibility and being open for a little change here and there is very important.
Thank you, Emma. And yeah, that marks the end of our session today. So we are super excited, super happy to have hosted this. I'm sure you've learned one or two things. Our lines are open, our ears are open, our hearts are looking forward to support you. So be part of the Real Age community, be part of the Real Age WhatsApp groups, be part of the Real Age online groups on Facebook, on our website, on YouTube, like many platforms that you have. So we really look forward to having another session with you. Susan, you're saying you didn't answer your question. I think we did answer, because you said you can migrate to Canada and be a support worker, but you have to go train there, or at the same time you have to go through the PR process, and hopefully you get there and now become a support worker there. So you either go through as an LCN or as a student. Like, you can, those three options, you can pick on the best one. Of course, you can just reach out to us, then we shall be able to advise on the same. Then somebody just asking for those who have qualifications in health systems management on top of diploma. Yeah, so I mean, all we support all. So just reach out to us. As Emma said, we'll assign this an advisor from the Village team who will hold your hand through the process. Of course, we also we have a very listening ear. So if you don't have the amount that Emma mentioned, for example, there's an option for paying 50%, and I think the rest of the amount can be paid in 3 months for the PR process. And I'm sure you also had her say we are probably the cheapest in East Africa or in Africa. So yeah, yeah. So that's what I can say for now. We appreciate we have a first July intake for IELTS. If you're interested, just let us know through the numbers, through our Facebook page, through the WhatsApp platforms that have been shared here. We are looking forward to welcome you. We also have NCLEX that is ongoing. So if you're interested, let us know. If you're interested in PR, also let us know. If you're interested in student admissions, also let us know. If you want to be part of Shani and Dr. Judy, who were here before, also let us know. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you next time in our webinar. Thank you.